This short but sweet podcast episode is going to be such a game changer for you if you notice that you're constantly finding yourself in a space of anxiety, fear, worry, or just feeling like things in your life aren't going to turn around for the better. I'm going to be sharing with you my number one mindset and energetic shift that helps me get back into a state of feeling internally safe, rich, and abundant within moments. So, without a further ado, let's dive into this. What's up, and welcome to the That's So Rich podcast, the show that's redefining wealth and helping you manifest a life that is rich in every single way. I'm your host, Kat Kozad, transformation coach, manifestation expert, and spiritual guide, and together we're going to create your happiest, healthiest, and wealthiest life. I'm so happy you're here. Let's do this thing. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of That's So Rich. Like I promised, today is a very short but sweet podcast episode because I want to share one of the most transformational mindset and energetic shifts that has changed so many things for me in my life. And I can't believe I actually have never talked about this on the podcast before because this is something that my clients love so much. And this is something that you can actively do to call yourself out consistently if you notice that your energy or your mindset or your belief system is slipping into a place of fear, doubt, anxiety, or scarcity, to bring yourself back to a state of complete abundance inside of yourself. And so this is something that I'm going to break down in a few different ways, but ultimately is going to be the same concept throughout. But for all of the people who are out here listening, whether you believe in the woo-woo, whether you believe in the spiritual, whether you believe in just getting your mind right, getting your energy right, this is going to help you so significantly. So the concept that we're going to be diving into is that when you are noticing that life isn't going the way that you want it to, or you want things to turn out the way that you want them to, are you focusing on the problem or the solution? So I'm going to say that again. It's quite literally as simple as asking yourself the question of, am I focusing on the problem or am I focusing on the solution? Because the reality is, majority of us are focusing on problems in our lives, whether that be debt, whether that be a job you don't like, relationship issues, body image, or something else. We're focusing in on the things that we don't want, the problems, the things that disconnect us from feeling like the most empowered and authentic and inspired versions of ourselves. And when you're focusing on the problem, a few different things happened. First one is your brain, your subconscious mind is always saying yes to you. So when you're focusing on problems, your subconscious mind is saying yes to those problems. Yes to more debt. Yes to that shitty job. Yes to feeling stuck. Yes to the relationship issues. Yes to all of these different things that you do not want in your life. Your subconscious mind is programmed to say yes to you regardless of what it is that you're feeding it. So I want you to take a moment just right there to recognize if you're constantly feeding yourself problems and your subconscious mind is always saying yes to them, of course it feels challenging to get out of that problem. Of course it feels like there's not going to be a solution. That's why oftentimes you're feeling so stuck in it. Second reason is because quite literally what you put your focus and attention into is going to grow. So when you're putting your focus and attention into, again, problems, I want to consistently throughout this podcast episode use the example of debt because I think that that's one of the most common things that I hear from the women that I end up working with or all of you who listen to the podcast and are wanting to manifest really rich lives is you don't feel as though financial freedom is possible for you because of debt or because of your pay or whatever it may be. So we're going to talk about money with all of this. So let's take the example of debt. Majority of people who are in debt are in this place because of society or past conditioning or whatever it may be, that they feel so much shame and weight surrounding that debt that all they do is put their focus and attention into having debt and not knowing how to pay it off. So telling yourself the stories of, it's never going to be paid off. Why did I get myself in this situation in the first place? I'm such a shitty person. I'm so bad with my money. Just like so many stories of like the problem. And when you put your focus and attention into the problem, from a scientific standpoint, electricity moves towards that. And what electricity moves towards, you're going to get more of. From a spiritual standpoint, what you put your focus and attention into is also going to grow, because what you're focusing on is where your energy is flowing. Where your energy is flowing is what you're telling the universe you want more of. So, quite literally, by focusing on the debt and saying, oh my God, this debt, this, oh my God, this debt, that, that's going to continue to perpetuate the problem and perpetuate the situation that you don't want to be in. And then the third thing that happens is, again, subconsciously, because you're focusing on the problem, your brain isn't going to look for solutions. Your brain is going to look for ways to quote unquote protect you from the problem. And majority of people's protection mechanisms are actually learned behaviors from the past, whether that be from their parents or things that they had done earlier on in life that they've had to develop as coping mechanisms or safety mechanisms to protect you from perceived danger. So when you're focusing on the problem, your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So again, taking that example of debt, people then go into, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to file for bankruptcy. I might have to foreclose on my house. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. And the worst case scenarios start to play out in your brain. So your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. And so when you're telling that to your brain, then your brain is then going to send signals of danger to the body, to the nervous system, which then puts you into survival mode. And then once you're in survival mode, your survival instincts are going to kick in, the fight, flight, hide, flee, or fawn. And that keeps you in a place, again, where you're continuing to perpetuate the cycle of the problem versus the solution. So, right there, just in that, I want you to recognize focusing on the problem just perpetuates problems. Whereas when you focus on the solution, what happens is the exact opposite of everything that we just talked about. When you start to put your focus and attention into the solution, first one, again, your subconscious mind is always saying yes to you. So if you're saying, I am in debt and I am seeking solutions to that, the solution to debt is overflow. The solution to debt is more than enough money. The solution to debt is having additional income coming in or some sort of situation to help me eliminate this by paying it off gradually over time. That completely changes what's happening in your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind then starts saying yes to solutions. Okay, yes, solutions, solutions, solutions. Let's find more solutions. And also, when you are telling yourself the story of, okay, let's seek solutions, your subconscious mind has this little thing called the reticular activating system. So the reticular activating system is always looking in your environment, looking in your day-to-day life to confirm the stories that you are telling yourself. So there might be solutions in front of you right now that you're not seeing if you're focusing on the problem, that as soon as you start to shift your focus into the solution, your subconscious mind is going to pick up due to the reticular activating system and is going to show you those solutions. This is quite literally one of the most powerful things about us, is that we have the power at all times to shift our perspective, shift our energy, shift our focus into this place of calling in more of what we want, because it already exists right here and right now. But when you're so focused, again, on the problem, you just can't see it. Which then, second thing, when you're focused on the solution, where your attention goes, energy flows. You start to manifest more solutions. Even if you don't know how that solution is going to show up in your life right now as you're focusing on the problem, or as you're contemplating, well, what even is the solution? You don't need to know what the solution is right here, right now, in this moment. All you have to know is that you want to shift your focus into the solution, because again, where your focus goes, energy flows. When you start to say, I'm open, I'm ready, I'm looking for the solution, then the solution starts to present itself for you. Again, we can look at that from a scientific standpoint or from a spiritual standpoint and recognize that as soon as you tell the universe, God, source, spirit, whatever this higher power is, that you are ready for the solution, you are ready for things to change, you are willing to put your focus into what needs to be done in order for you to have what it is that you want, the universe, God, source, spirit starts to deliver that to you. That is quite literally foundational manifestation. Putting your focus and attention into what it is that you want versus what it is that you do not want. And then, third thing, like we were talking about before with the problem, when you start to focus on the solution, your brain does not know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So when you start to play in the possibility of being financially free, of having more than enough money, of having financial overflow, of money being an overflowing consistent in your life, then that's what you start to prime your subconscious mind for. And that's what you start to adjust your nervous system to accept as truth. So that then, as your energy is being released into these more supportive ways that are going to move you towards what it is that you want versus further away from what it is that you want, then your brain and your body is already accepting of it because you're playing in the reality of that already being the truth. This is one of the concepts that people talk about in manifestation all of the time, from scripting to visualization to meditation to vision boards to all of these different tools that are available to help you, again, prime the subconscious mind and prime the nervous system to be ready to accept that abundance as you are calling it into your life and as it starts to manifest. Like we said, those three things, they can work for you or they can work against you. You can have your subconscious mind and your nervous system work against you as you're focusing on the problems, or you can have your subconscious mind and your nervous system working for you as you focus on the solution. And this is what I have found for myself. One of the most powerful ways to create this energetic shift is to create a deeper level of awareness on your day-to-day basis. So as you're moving through your life, checking in with yourself multiple times a day, whether that means you have to set alarms in your phone to check in with you, or you have something that you look at in your physical environment that reminds you to check in with yourself, or any other thing. For me, it's just so built into my life at this point that I check in with myself multiple times a day. If I notice that I feel funky, instead of allowing myself to just indulge in that funkiness and let it be my reality for the day, I remind myself, okay, Kat, that's a beautiful opportunity for you to check in with yourself right now and see if you're focusing on the problem or the solution. And I can promise you for myself, every single time I am in that funkiness, I am in anxiety, I am feeling depressed, I am feeling whatever it is that does not feel very good to me, then that is when I am focusing on a problem. Even if I don't consciously notice that I am focusing on the problem, that's what's happening in that moment. Versus when I check in with myself and I say, okay, Kat, are you focusing on the problem or are you focusing on the solution? I say, oh, wow, I'm focusing on the problem. This is my opportunity to refocus on the solution. What's the solution in this very moment? Maybe it's just to take a few big, deep, full breaths. Maybe it's to say a few affirmations to myself. Maybe it's to drink a glass of water or eat some food. Sometimes this is so funny. I've noticed for so many of my clients, and I've noticed this for myself, this has been one of the clearest things quite literally since I was a child, and my mom can attest to this any day. When I start acting like a bitch or when I feel like the world is crumbling, I literally just need to eat because my blood sugar is low. And then I eat, and that's the solution. And the solution then brings me to this place of, oh, okay, now I feel better because I ate something. My blood sugar's back up. What other solutions are available to me? And something I want to just bring to your attention and invite you into is two things. One, noticing that if you catch yourself focusing on the problem and you want to beat yourself up for it, that's treating the problem with more problems. That's saying, "Oh my God, why am I always focusing on the problem? Why can I never have a positive mindset? Why do I focus so much on the drama?" So on and so forth. Okay, yeah, you can judge yourself for the fact that you're focusing in on the problem, but you're just adding more fuel to the fire, and that's your ego trying to get you exactly where it wants you, which is stuck and stagnant and small and exactly where you are right now or where you've been in the past because that's what's known. And the ego is the ultimate protector that is always going to try to bring you to what is known because that's where it feels the most safe. So it's really recognizing it's like, okay, there's just a part of me that feels unsafe. How can I create more safety for myself? And if y'all listen to the podcast, you know I talk about this all the freaking time. I talk about creating internal safety, and I talk about how that is one of the most important components of the manifestation process and one of the least talked about components of the manifestation process. But there's so many different podcast episodes that I have about that, so take a deep dive into them. But recognizing there's no need to beat yourself up for focusing on the problem. It's just the invitation and opportunity to refocus yourself on the solution. And again, I already said this, but it's okay if you don't know exactly what the solution is, the like long-term solution or what all of the steps are. It's what's the first step? What's the first micro thing that I can do that is going to add up as I continue to make those micro decisions that lead to the macro changes that I'm wanting to see in my life, the solutions that I am actually going to have and implement in my life. So that is the first thing. Second thing is I want you to see this as a muscle that you are training because the human mind, the human brain is conditioned to focus on problems because back when we were cavemen, if you didn't focus on problems, it was a matter of life or death. There could be a saber-toothed tiger that was in a bush 10 feet away from you. And if you didn't focus on that problem, then you most likely were going to die. And as much as we would like to think we have evolved since we were cavemen, our brain is still very primal. So it's recognizing again that the human mind is conditioned to focus on problems, but do not use that as your excuse to continue to focus on problems because there's also this beautiful thing called neuroplasticity. You can reform the neural connections, you can reform your subconscious mind to work for you versus against you. But it's like going to the gym. It's like putting in those repetitions of lifting weights and building that muscle over time. This is a game of time and consistency, not a overnight fix for everything in your life to immediately be better. Yes, this instantly shifts your energy and yes, it instantly shifts your mindset, but the point of using this, am I focusing on the problem or am I focusing on the solution, is to consistently show up and ask yourself that question multiple times a day. That's something that I give to my clients every single time that I see them is, are you focusing on the problem or are you focusing on the solution? Because if you're focusing on the problem, again, it's going to give you more problems. If you're focusing on the solution, that's going to give you more solutions. And we can apply this again to every single aspect of your life, from your finances to your relationships, to your relationship with yourself, to your career, to every single thing that you want. Are you focusing on the problem or are you focusing on the solution? Putting in those repetitions, going to the mindset gym, the energetic gym, the spiritual gym, lifting those weights, because odds are, first day that you do it, you'll notice a little bit of a difference. Like, ooh, okay, going into the gym on the first day, yeah, you might walk away more energized. You also might be more sore the next day. It might be like, whoa, okay, that was a weird adjustment. But then after a week, you start to get in the rhythm of it. After a few weeks, you start to notice a significant difference. After a few months, you notice, oh my gosh, so many shifts and changes are happening in my life. After a year, you can be completely unrecognizable in your mind, body, and spirit by doing this, just like you can be if you consistently show up to the gym every single day for a year. This is where you build this muscle. Nobody is programmed with this automatic, okay, yes, I'm going to focus on the solution. Anybody who is solution oriented has trained themselves to be solution oriented. And this is your opportunity to do the same thing. And if you're looking for that gym of where you can consistently have those daily reminders to work these muscles, to create these energetic shifts, and to get yourself into the mindset and embodiment that is actually going to manifest those solutions and help you have the life that it is that you want, then I want to invite you to join my membership community called Belief Society. It is like your gym for your mind, for your spirit, for your soul, for your manifestations. Yes, there's the gym membership. And of course, I'm not going to say cancel your gym membership and join this membership, but take your belief system, take your mindset, take your mental health, take embodiment and your energy as serious as you do your physical health. Because if you do that, you are going to have a completely different life and reality. And there is nothing but solutions inside of Belief Society. So the information to it is going to be down below in the show notes. But that's all that I have for you on today's podcast episode. Like I said, short and sweet. Ask yourself the question this week every single day, multiple times a day. Am I focusing on the problem or am I focusing on the solution? And notice how quickly your life starts to change when you do. I promise you, this has been such a big game changer for me, and it will be for you as well. I will chat with you on the next podcast episode, and I am sending you all of my love.